皆さん, it's Yobi1 checking in. So this is gonna be video number 2 in the True Japan Stories kind of series of me just chatting and giving you guys some insights on some of the things that happened. Just in preparation, getting ready to leave. Again, I've been thinking about a lot of the things, thinking about a lot of my memories that stick out. So I thought I'd share them with you guys. And here I'm going to talk about kind of a couple different stories, but just a general theme of just random acts of kindness and just randomness that kind of, go. Don't be afraid to go out of your way to, help out people. Um, so I'll just dive in. So I remember one day I was walking with my friend Arvi, and we were walking to the convenience store, and I think it was pretty late. It was late afternoon, and we're walking to the convenience store and chatting. And Arvi's a good guy, and it was probably like within my first month of being at Nagoya Gakuin, and I just remember this girl, this Japanese girl, biked by us, and we just looked at her when she biked past us, and we just kept walking. And then all of a sudden, we just heard a huge, loud crash, and it was just a big smash, and we're just, you know, just shocked. And then we turned around, and we just see that she was just on the ground, and she had collapsed, or she crashed, or something like that. So I just remember we both ran over, and she was just lying there, and she was kind of crying, and she was in pain. And then we went around her, and we like looked at her head, and we noticed there was blood bleeding. Blood bleeding. She was bleeding from her head, and that's not a funny thing to laugh at. But anyway, at that time, I didn't have a cell phone yet, I don't think, and Arvi had a cell phone, but he didn't know how to call 911 in Japan, which, by the way, I believe is 119. So that's the emergency number if you guys ever get in trouble in Japan. But anyway, we didn't know what to do, so I took off my sweater. I had this sweater that I bought in Ethiopia. If you guys don't know, I'm from Ethiopia, but it had green, yellow, red like the Ethiopian flag. And I just remember wrapping the girl's head with that and trying not to move her head too much. She seemed really out of it. She seemed like she had a concussion, and you know, she was having a hard time talking. So then I just remember talking to Arvi, and Arvi ran to the 7-Eleven and told the convenience store clerk, what was going on. And in that meantime, the Japanese girl, she kind of took out her cell phone, and she was trying to call and tell her parents that she had an accident. And she just kept crying, and So I just remember sitting there, and I had her head in my lap, and we were just talking to her and holding her and making sure she felt good, just making sure she knew that we were there to help her out. It was just kind of scary because that was the first time that in Japan where I ever had witnessed an emergency or an issue, and things like accidents happen there too. And at that time, I had no idea what to do. When you're here in Canada, if shit goes down, you just call 911, or you go to emergency room if you know where it is. But in Japan, shit happens, and tough lessons are learned sometimes about if you're not prepared. So that instance, we weren't as prepared. I just arrived, and nothing like that had ever happened to RV before. So we learned from that. But I digress. So while the 7-Eleven guy was, I think he was calling an ambulance, but the girl had called her family, and I guess she must have lived close because her family came by in a van, probably about 10 minutes after the crash, 10-15 minutes. And I just remember trying to communicate to them, she might have a concussion, don't let her go to sleep, don't let her sit up, just make sure you guys just take her straight to the hospital. And I just remember everybody was kind of a little flabbergasted, a little high strung, but they were still thankful, and I had wrapped my sweater around her head, and she left with my sweater, so it was kind of it wasn't cold, but I was like, oh, I'm glad we helped her, but I lost my sweater. And so I just remember at that time the parent that came and picked her up started talking to Arby, and Arby was great at Japanese at that time. He had already been living in Japan for 6 months. My Japanese wasn't that great, but anyway, the person was asking who we were, what our names were. Arby told him we're exchange students. We go to Nagoya Gakuin, which it was 2 blocks away from the school and from our dorms. And then, then they left. And then me and RV went to the convenience store. The guy in the 7-Eleven was like, saying, good job, thank you, whatever, that was crazy, blah, blah, blah. Me and RV went and got some, must have been peach water or something like that. And we just headed back home. And yeah, so that was the kind of first half of the story. And then the second half of the story was that apparently the girl was really thankful. And so she knew what school we went to, and she knew I was a black guy. But she didn't know my name, she didn't know where I was, and things like that. So apparently, she repeatedly came to the university, and she went. And the first time she came, she couldn't find me because um, the teachers at that time knew that I was a foreign exchange student, but I don't think they know that I lived in the dorms that were like the apartment buildings across the street, and not in the dormitory. So she had come to the school a couple times, and she didn't know how to get to where I was, but she wanted to say thank you and gave me back my sweater. And I remember she bought us some really amazing, like okashi, like snacks, like really flavorful snacks. And apparently she came like 2 or 3 or 4 times, and we just never were able to cross paths because, you know, at that time we were just floating around. We didn't have phone numbers yet, and but it's kind of funny because I didn't even realize at that time that when she had an accident that she was like, apparently she was pretty cute, and so that was like my first like, oh, that would have been a cool kind of romantic story about saving a girl, and then she coming back, and then kind of like a Densha Otoko story, like a train man story. So that's my own kind of unique train man story, and that was a pretty cool experience. I never actually did end up seeing her or getting to talk to her again, but I just still think that was a pretty cool story about just randomly paying it forward. Just because, I got my sweater back, I got some snacks, and I got a nice story. Kind of a second one, a follow up to random acts of kindness. I just remember one day I was on my bike, and I had my umbrella, and apparently you're not supposed to ride your bike with your umbrella when it's raining, but whatever, we gaijin smash it. So you just bike with the umbrella, and it was just the rain just came out of nowhere, and it was just pouring like crazy. And I was biking back to Nigoya Gakuin, biking back to my apartment, and I just saw these two girls, and they were getting drenched, just so super soaked. And I just remember, for no reason, I just went over to them with my bike, and I just gave them my umbrella, and I just said, "Here, take it, go for it, guys." And I just left. I just went on my bike. I just dropped them off the umbrella so they didn't have to get soaked. I don't know why I did. I just, didn't figure I'd ever see them again or talk to them again or anything like that. But yeah, I dropped off my umbrella and I just left. And it's just random, kind of paying it forward. And I think I kind of learned that random, kindness and going out of your way to help people. I think I've kind of picked that up in Japan, because not that I wasn't a helpful person before Japan, but I really feel like after I lived in Japan and I had a lot of people helping me out and just showing me a lot of kindness and stuff. I felt like I like to help out people more and just do random nice things and just put good karma out in the world. But anyway, so the word got back to one of the main teachers at Nagoya Gakuin, just about how this random nice black guy gave him an umbrella. And I think I was only one of a few black guys. But anyway, the sensei came up and she talked to me and she said how, that was really nice, and, how that's good, or how that's not good for the school, but it's just good for, international relations, just paying it forward, putting good vibes out there. And it was kind of cool. Yeah, so just random acts of kindness, randomness, random things can happen in random adventures. Missed opportunities maybe for a nice movie plot or something like that, but that's another true Japan story. And again, thank you guys for watching. If you guys want to ask me any questions, again, you guys can hit me up on Twitter at EOB1, EYOBE1, or follow me on Instagram. My username is Yobi. Or you guys can like my Facebook page, and we can chat there too. And my Facebook page is facebook.com/EOB1, with one being spelled out, so EYOBEONE. Yeah, so anyway, guys, next time. じゃあね。